Honorable Congresswoman Luistro. Please proceed.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I wish to manifest that the refusal of Her Excellency Vice President Sara Duterte to take her oath in today's hearing in the conduct of inquiry in aid of legislation is an affirmation of her stand, her position during the budget briefing of the OVP. And this representation wishes to manifest that when the resource speaker does not take her oath, then it follows that whatever statement she will provide, we call it, it could not hold any water. That being not under oath, the same cannot be used as an evidence in any inquiry, in any proceeding, Mr. Chair. In other words, her refusal to answer in the last budget briefing of the OVP is tantamount to her stand in today's inquiry of refusing to take her oath. That is for manifestation, Mr. Chair. And with that, Mr. Chair, I wish to remind the committee, our esteemed colleagues, and the Filipino people of the constitutional mandate that public office is a public trust. When there is a question, we're bound to answer. We're bound to explain. As a matter of fact, no less than the Philippine Constitution provides, we are accountable to the Filipino people at all times. We are now confronted by the issue on confidential fund. And I wish to emphasize, ang confidential fund po ay pera ng taong bayan. And we owe it to the people to explain kung paano ito ginastos, saan ito napunta, and to be specific, sinunod po ba natin ang joint circular regulating the use of confidential fund. Mr. Chair, I wish to raise as well, to invoke as well, and remind our esteemed colleagues that pursuant to the separation of power, we, the Congress, is exercising the power to legislate. Under this power, we also have the power of the purse. We can amend, we can revise, we can approve, and we can disapprove the budget that was proposed to us by the executive. And I wish to remind as well that the best instrument which shows the power of the purse of the people is no less than the General Appropriations Bill, which is an embodiment of the allocation for the entire Philippine government, which is the result of the legislative process of the Congress. In other words, ang budget po ng ating bansa ay napapaloob din sa isang batas, saklaw ng kapangyarihan ng Kongreso, and that is the power to legislate. To be able to make sure that the power of the purse is properly exercised, we are granted as well by the oversight power, and that is to make sure that all our legislations, that includes the budget of the national government, the General Appropriations Act, are well complied with by our fellow public servants. And to make sure, and as a consequence of this oversight power, we have this inquiry in aid of legislation. So I just wish to remind the Filipino people, and that includes the OVP, ito po ay trabaho ng Kongreso. Busisiin ang budget. And not only that, to exercise the oversight power to make sure na yun pong ating mga nakaraang legislation, that includes the General Appropriations Act, ay nagamit ng tama ng mga ahensya ng gobyerno. I hope that the OVP will be enlightened to address the issues instead of attacking this institution, of politicizing, and matters concerning politics, Mr. Chair. Third, Mr. Chair, we should be uniform in the application of our rules. If we are guided by the constitutional mandate that public office is a public trust, if we observe malfeasance, misfeasance, and nonfeasance in the LGUs, as a matter of fact, we have pending inquiry in aid of legislation concerning LGUs. Kung iniimbestigahan po natin ang Office of the Mayor, kung iniimbestigahan po natin ang Office of the Governor, by equality under the law, we should conduct an investigation as well to the Office of the Vice President. And I wish to thank the Honorable Valeriano for taking a stand before the plenary to initiate this inquiry in aid of legislation to address the observation not only of this representation, but of our fellow members of the Committee on Appropriations about the irregularities which we have seen already in the disbursement of funds, as a matter of fact, not only of the confidential fund, but even the regular allocation of the OVP. With that, Mr. Chair, may I proceed to my question for the COA? Kanina
Yes.
po,
But after your lengthy manifestation, you have already
Mr. Chair.
consumed 4
just
minutes.
one question,
Mr. Chair.
Mr. Chair.
Mr. Chair,
Just one question.
Yes, the Honorable Marcoleta.
may I offer a counter manifestation, Mr. Chair?
Later po, 1 minute na lang po siya and then I
Kasi
will
baka
record.
makalimutan yung continuity ng yung flow ng discussion. I'd like to ask only, Mr. Chair, by way of manifestation, is there anybody who is questioning the power of the purse of Congress? Is there anybody who is questioning the legislative function and oversight function of Congress? Is there? Because if there is none, then we are not supposed to overextend the discussion or any manifestation, because nobody is questioning that. And I think nobody could question that. Even the privileged speech of the Honorable Valeriano. I think the proper question there, the proper title is not asserting the power of the purse. We should not assert it because that power is inherent in us. Asserting or not asserting that power is of no moment. Yun po ay birthright. Yun po is inherent right of Congress. And let me make of record, the office of the Vice President, to my mind, did not undermine the power of the purse. When she personally came in the first hearing and presented herself, including the budget by way of a PowerPoint presentation, she made a presentation, Mr. Chair. And after that, she made a categorical statement that she said, I forgo, Madam Chair, I forgo my opportunity to defend the budget of the Office of the President by way of question and answer, and instead I leave it to the discretion of the House of Representatives on their decision to decide on the proposal as presented. This is a very respectful answer. Mr. Chair, I did not find any offensive remark in that particular statement. She gave the entire House of Representatives the entire discretion, the entire right to decide on the proposal she presented before us. Why would we blame her for saying that she disrespected Congress? No, sir. I think it was triggered by the fact that questions were asked in relation to the confidential and intelligence funds. To my mind, Mr. Chair, these particular funds were subjected to a notice of disallowance. But the notice of disallowance by its nature, by its very nature, Mr. Chair, is contestable. It is appealable. It is yet to be explained. And initially, as explained by the representative of COA, The notice of disallowance suffered by way of supporting documents, by way of non-compliance with certain requisites. What if the Vice President is able to provide all the supporting documents? What if finally she is able to come up with the requisites required in order for you to consider that all these funds are eventually allowable and they are not disallowed? And chances are she may be able to do that. Hindi po final judgment ang notice of disallowance. As a matter of fact, based on COA's own representation the other day, the Vice President received the notice of disallowance only on August 24, 2024, which means, Mr. Chair, the Vice President has 6 months within which to reply and make an answer. That is correct, Madam COA. So, 6 months is up to February 2025. We should give her all the allowance. We should all give her the time. Because 6 months is 6 months. So why are we rushing to make a judgment? As a matter of fact, as I have already initiated earlier, Mr. Chair, when you said that anything we can discuss in this committee provided it is of public interest, and you said that intelligence funds and confidential funds are public interest, but I said, because of our own rules, we should make a prior and preliminary determination that is directly and principally connected to malfeasance, misfeasance, or non-feasance. We have not made that determination. How can we now begin questioning whether or not the intelligence funds covered by an initial notice of disallowance is already directly and principally connected with non-feasance, or misfeasance, or malfeasance? Madam COA, how many agencies of government today are subjected to notice of disallowance? Do you have a number? How many agencies today?
With all due respect to the Honorable...
That is a question I will leave, and I will terminate my manifestation, Madam.
Yes, but I would like to respond.
This is still my time.
Yes, but I would like to respond to your manifestation, Congressman Marcoleta.
Parliamentary inquiry, Mr. Chair. Parliamentary inquiry.
What is the parliamentary inquiry of the
I would
Honorable
like to ask the Honorable Marcoleta, is he rebuking this committee?
What is the question, Mr. Chair?
Are you rebuking this committee?
Why am I supposed to rebuke the committee? I am
You
not.
have been saying things for a while.
What?
You have been rebuking this committee.
You are saying that.
We're not blaming the Vice President on this.
Honorable
Marcoleta, we are not blaming
the right to suspend.
1 minute suspension is declared by the chair.
Move to suspend.
Station of Senior Deputy Speaker Gonzales. Ito pong committee hearing natin ay initial deliberation and preliminary determination of my privilege speech last September 3. Partly nung speech ko po, and I quote again, hindi pera ng pangalawang Pangulo ang Office of the Vice President budget para sa 2022, 2023, 2024 at 2025. Pondo ng bayan yan. At yung iba po, pagkakataon na sana niyang patunayan sa Kongreso at sambayanan kung sino ang naging beneficiary ng kanyang mga socio-economic programs. At doon po, nilagay ko rin sa kanilang 2025 budget proposal, mayroong 977,615 beneficiaries at meron ding 793 strategic partnership noong 2023. Ako po ay natuwa kanina sa pagdating ni Vice President dahil ang buong akala ko ay masasagot niya yung katanungan ko sa privilege speech. Subalit, sa pagtanggi niya po ng pag-take ng oath at halos hindi niya rin po sinagot ay nakakalungkot din po. At asahan po ninyo na kung sakali man na maging maayos ang kinalabasan ng COA findings, ako po ay nakahanda ulit na tumayo at magsalita ulit kung ano man ang magiging rekomendasyon ng Commission on Audit. Salamat po, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you. The Honorable Marcoleta is now recognized for his interpellation.
Maraming salamat, Mr. Chair. Mr. Chair, sasamantalahin ko na po ang presence po ng mga kinatawan ng Commission on Audit. Gusto ko po sanang itanong mula sa kanila, ano-ano pong mga opisina ng ating pamahalaan o ahensya ang pinagkakalooban po ng intelligence and confidential funds?
Attorney Camora, please respond.
Confidential funds are given to NGAs, to LGUs, and some GOCCs po.
You can elaborate, Madam Representative, sino po sa mga LGUs ang binibigyan po ng intelligence and confidential funds?
Sa LGUs po, depende po sa LGU, sa POP po nila, Mr. Chair.
Hindi po ba yung mga opisina ng mayor ay nakakatanggap ng intelligence and confidential funds?
As long as it is part of their budget, Madam Chair, Mr. Chair.
Kaya nga po tinatanong ko sa inyo, kayo po nakakaalam kasi kung sino-sino sa kanila. Karaniwan po yung opisina ng mayor, nakatatanggap po, maaaring hindi lahat, ngunit nakatatanggap po basically yung opisina ng mayor. Tama po?
According to the Joint Circular po, LGUs whose peace and order is a priority concern, sila po usually yung nag-allocate ng confidential.
Kaya nga po, base po sa record ninyo, may mga mayors po, opisina ng mayor na nakatatanggap ng confidential and intelligence funds. Kasi po kayo ang nag-o-audit eh.
Yes po, Mr. Chair.
Para hindi na tayo magtagal, ganun lang kasi. Pati po, opisina ng gobernador, nakakatanggap din po ng ganung klaseng pondo, hindi po ba?
Yes, Mr. Chair.
Yun pong PNP, nakakatanggap po.
Intelligence fund po.
Opo, yung AFP, nakakatanggap po.
Yes po, Mr. Chair.
Ang opisina po ng ating Pangulo ay nakakatanggap po ng intelligence fund.
Yes, Mr. Chair.
Ngayon po, sa mga karamihan po ng opisina ng mayor at opisina ng gobernador at alimpang mga LGUs na maaaring makatanggap nito, depende sa kanilang pangangailangan. Yung AFP at saka yung ating kapulisan at ang ating opisina po ng ating Panguluhan, masasabi po ba ninyo na merong na-issuean po ng notice or notices of disallowance sa napakaraming opisina na tumatanggap ng ganitong pondo?
Mr. Chair, pagka meron naman pong mga ibang agencies na
Kaya nga po gusto ko pong malaman, halimbawa 2022 at saka 2023, ballpark figures lang po, ilan po sa mga official at mga opisina ng mayor na nakatanggap ng confidential or intelligence funds ang subjected to notices of disallowance? Ilan po sa opisina ng gobernador, ganun din po yung tanong. At saka sa iba't ibang mga opisina pa, para malaman lang natin, kahit ballpark figures lang, ilan po yung na-issue nyo na notices of disallowance concerning these types of funds?
Mr. Chair, wala po kaming data on the said information today because we are we only have data on the OVP po. I cannot give an exact number.
Bakit po? Kakasasabi nyo lang na meron din kayong sinubject sa notice of disallowance eh. Bakit po yung opisina lang ng OBP ang meron kayong record?
Yung hawak po namin ngayon, Mr. Chair, since ito po yung subject ng inquiry, we are prepared as to the OVP. Pero as to other
O sige po, ganito na lang. Meron po ba kayong estimated na bilang ng na-issue nyo na kayo po kasi pag intelligence and confidential funds, kayo po yung auditing unit ang nakatoka para tingnan po ang pagkakagasta ng tipo ng fondong ito. Tama po?
Tama po, Mr.
Okay.
Chair.
Makapagsasabi po ba kayo ng estimated number? Ito po, kinabibilangan ng opisina ng mayor, ng gobernador, ng ISAP, ng kung ano-ano, ng siguro po, maski National Intelligence Security Council, AFP, ang kapulisan. Can you provide us a ballpark number of the notices of disallowance that your office has initially issued?
Mr. Chair, I cannot give you a ballpark figure now since hindi naman po ako involved sa entire ICFAO. So,
wala po bang isa sa inyo na nakaupo ngayon sa aming harapan ang makapagbibigay man lang ng estimated number? Napakarami po ng mayor, napakarami po ng gobernador.
Precisely, sir, kaya sa ibang division, wala po akong...
Pwede ba natin sabihin 100 or 500 notices of disallowance?
I cannot say po, Mr. Chair.
How can you help us? We are supposed to be doing this in aid of legislation. Kaya namin kayo pinatawag para tulungan nyo kami.
Mr. Chair,
Sabi po ng jurisprudence, which was quoted by no less than the former Chief Justice of the Supreme Court, Reynato Puno, quoting various jurisprudence. Kasama na po yung Arnold versus Nazareno. There should be a legislative purpose. That's number one requirement. The number two requirement, there should be pertinency in relation to those legislative purpose. Kaya po tinatanong ko,
you have 1 minute.
Tinatanong ko po ngayon, gaano karami? O sige, ganito na lang, marami ba ang na-issue nyo po na notices of disallowance in connection with these types of fund?
Sir, I really cannot give an exact number.
Hindi, sabihin mo lang, marami. Medyo marami.
Attorney Camora, could you please submit the documents that the Honorable Marcoleta is requesting?
Yes.
Kasi sa ngayon, bago ako
as to the
magtapos,
numbers.
Mr. Chair, I want
Yes.
to wind up now.
Yes.
I want
please
to wind up now. Can you at least sabihin mo lang, marami, medyo marami. Pati ba naman yun, hindi mo... Ang dami po nating mayor dito sa buong Pilipinas, ang daming gobernador, pati kapulisan, ISAP, AFP. So sabi mo kanina, marami na-cover ng ilan ba?
Madam Chair, kung yung current year, I can answer na
O yung,
konti lang
on
po.
the average noon, yung halimbawa 2020, 2021, 2022, by way of your experience, by way of your former data.
Previous years po, I cannot say since bago lang po ako sa ICFAO. So, we could just provide you po with the documents.
Please wrap up. One last question, Congressman
What about
Marcoleta.
to the other members of the Commission on Audit? Through your experience, let's say in the last 10 years, wala kayong may bibigay? Alam po ninyo kung bakit ko tinatanong ito? Kung marami po kayong na-issue, at alam ko marami talaga, na notices of disallowance, pupuntahin natin dito lahat, hindi lang ang Office of the Vice President at dapat umupo dito. Lahat na po ng inisyuhan nyo ng notices of disallowance must sit here para makagawa po kami ng mas maganda, mas balanse na batas. Kung pag-uusapan po ay ang paggamit nitong intelligence funds. Do you understand, madam?
Yes, I understand po the question. However,
So, the committee is expecting to receive the number as well as the pertinent records pertaining to the issuance of notices of disallowance to the municipal mayors, governors, the PNP, the AFP, and such other agencies who are recipients of intelligence and confidential funds, because later on we will also summon them and to sit with us. Thank you, Madam Chair, Mr. Chair.
Congressman Marcoleta, you cannot move because you are not a member of this committee.
It's good that you embrace that, Mr. Chair. I am a vice chair of this committee. On September 4, I was surprised because I saw the journal that I was replaced by my comare. The question is, if I am replaced as a vice chair, does that automatically mean that I am removed as a member of this committee? Before you answer that, Mr. Chair, I think I need some legal basis before you answer that.
Yes, your removal from the vice chair, you were removed in a plenary session, House Rules. Now, under Section 28 of the House Rules, it provides that the House shall, upon the recommendation of the Committee on Rules, organize committees, their membership, and jurisdiction. Therefore, your removal as vice chair and member of the House was a plenary action, and therefore, it should be the plenary who should include you as member or as vice chair. Thank you.
Mr. Chair, it was very clear that I was removed as vice chair. I was not removed as a member.
Because you were
There is this distinction between being a member and vice chair. If I was removed as vice chair,
but your appointment as vice chair, you were not appointed as member. Your appointment was as vice chair. So hindi naman po kayo in-appoint muna as member bago kayo ginawang vice chair. Your immediate appointment was as vice chairman, and therefore your removal as vice chair will remove you as member also. Yun po yun. It's a plenary action. The committee has nothing to do with it.
That is your opinion, Mr. Chair, but I am expecting that some kind of a basis should be presented that upon removal of a vice chair, that automatically also removes him as a member of that committee. That's all I am asking, Mr. Chair.
Point of order, Mr. Chairman.
We have already answered the manifestation or the inquiry of the Honorable Marcoleta. Next to interpolate is
Mr. Chairman.
Honorable.
Mr. Chairman.
Yes, with the permission, with the indulgence of Honorable Dionisio, I would like to recognize the Honorable Paduano.
Mr. Chairman, under our rules, there is a motion for a point of order. And this is one of the highest motion that should be ruled by the chairman. So, Mr. Chairman, just a parliamentary procedure. The chairman should recognize the person that moves for a point of order, because that is one of the highest motion that should be recognized by the chairman. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Noted. Honorable
Mr. Chair,
Honorable Vice Chairman Abante.
with the indulgence of Congressman Dionisio, may I be recognized?
Mr. Chairman,
Yes. With the